Hey, it's been a long time since I've sat down and just filmed a video, and I haven't uploaded it in like 2 months. The topic for today's video is going to be how undiagnosed ADHD almost ruined my life. I'm sitting in front of my school, and it makes sense to talk about school, so I figured why not chat about what these past few semesters have been like. I posted on Instagram a long time ago that I was going on a health leave, and that lasted a school year. I like to think that that was one of the most important years of my life. Before that, I was severely struggling. I had to withdraw from my classes, and my grades leading up to that had been like barely C minus, which is just enough to get credit for my major. Since then, I took my year off and I came back to school. And not to flex, but I'm a straight A student now. I've got some A minuses in there, uh, but that's still an A. So, and I want to brag about it because it's not bragging. It kind of is. I want to brag about it because I put in so much work, and the people around me put in so much work and supported me throughout all of this to make sure that I'd be able to continue with my school career. So it feels worth talking about because I know that there's other people who have been in this situation who are looking for some guidance or who just want to feel like there's someone out there that understands them. Basically, I received my ADHD diagnosis after my year of my health leave. So right at the start of the school year that I came back. And that was when I was put on medication, and I had already been in therapy for a while, but I continued therapy with a new therapist. Things changed for the better, which is all I could ever ask for. For a long time, I had been like, man, I am so fatigued and I can't focus, and it takes so much energy to get up every day, and my brain feels like there's a fog floating around. I don't know what to do. And people heard that, specifically my psychiatrist heard that, and she was like, okay, like that's a you problem. She didn't say that, but it's implied. And I even remember one time I was like, I think I might have ADHD because I have a sibling who has it, and they kind of described some of the traits, and they sounded similar. And she was like, no, you don't. Not even like, oh, maybe we'll get you tested, or let's think about it, or why do you think so? She was just like, no, and we're not going to test you either. So, sucks to suck. That was not great, obviously. I continued to struggle. I didn't know why I was struggling. And I didn't know what to do to try to mitigate the struggle. Because a diagnosis isn't everything, right? But they do give you some insight on why things are happening the way they are. So when I was floating around without a diagnosis, it was like, well, what's the cause of these things? And I don't even know what things to try to remedy this because I don't even know which direction to go. So that was my issue with not having a diagnosis. And after being put off and kind of told that, like, no, I just don't have ADHD, it also reinforced that idea that, like, oh, maybe I'm just not trying hard enough. Maybe I just don't want to focus, and that's why I'm not able to sit down and think about stuff for a long time. So it reinforced that idea, and it didn't help at all in the long run in terms of dealing with any of those problems because it just made it seem like it was a me thing and that I was alone in it and isolated, and that's no way to go about doing anything. So we ditched that psychiatrist at some point, and I ended up getting a new one. He has these like piercing blue eyes, like it's so scary. It's like the Miley Cyrus meme. But he's a great guy, and I told him I was like, well, I think I have ADHD, and he was like, hell yeah, let's get you tested then and see. If you think you have it, let's figure this out. Let's get to the bottom of this. And if it's not ADHD, that's fine. And if it is, it's also fine. So he actually listened to me, and that was, I think, where my life started to change. It's crazy how the difference in a medical provider can turn things completely around for you. Either way, I got tested. The testing was so boring. It was the worst. It was so boring. And like, I didn't think that stuff could get more boring. It was literally the most boring thing I'd ever done in my entire life. And when I finished it, he was like, yeah, that's the point. Like, we make it boring so that you guys struggle through it. Anyways, I finished the testing. We got the results back, and he was like, yeah. So it turns out you have ADHD. And for some reason, when I went around to like not tell everybody, but I didn't do this, but like when I did tell people, a lot of people were like, "Duh," especially my younger sibling, who was the one who had told me, "Oh, I think you have ADHD," because they have it too. And I remember I told her, and she was like, "I could have told you that. Like, I don't know why you did all that testing and had to pay like the insurance like for whatever, because I could have just told you that. But whatever, like it's nice to have that." She wasn't rude about it though. She always makes it really funny. So it was really sweet to hear that, to have that diagnosis validated. Because again, even though a diagnosis doesn't change anything about me, it does give me an explanation behind why certain things are happening, and that can help so much. So from then on, it was like, okay, I have been in therapy for a long time. I was an excellent student when I was younger. So I do have the skills to succeed in school. I do have the support system needed to succeed in school, and I understand the content. The issue was just that like I could not sit down and complete the work. I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't participate in group projects and be a functional member of society because just could not focus. And when it came down to it, and we had exhausted like all different types of approaches to dealing with ADHD and all this stuff, my psychiatrist was like, "Well, you have the option to take meds. Like, we've tried a lot of other things." And this is funny. In the past, when I was younger, when I was like 17 or something, my psychiatrist put me on Adderall because he thought I had ADHD, but it didn't sit well with me. So that was another reason why I thought I didn't have ADHD, because Adderall like fucked me up. But anyways, that wasn't for that long, so it's fine. Anyways, I was put on a different medication. I was like, let's not do Adderall. So he was like, let's do another medication. We tried that, and for the first time in a long time, it was like, wow, it's hard to describe. I could sit down and read a passage and understand it and not have to reread and reread and reread just to gain comprehension of one sentence. I could start the outline for a paper and then write the paper and do it over time because I could focus over time instead of just trying to do it at the very last second, the literal last second. So there were so many things that came with it, that came with the medication, and I'm really lucky because like the first thing we tried after Adderall like worked and hasn't had any adverse side effects on me really. Um, Suddenly, because I'd struggled with other mental health issues in the past, and now I was waking up happy to be there. I would wake up and I would be like, I feel energized, or at least maybe when I took my meds I did, but after, over time, the feeling just came naturally. I feel energized and I want to be here because I'm not going to struggle with everything so much. It's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling. It made me realize that I've been fighting this invisible struggle for so long for almost no reason. Like, I didn't have to go through all of that. I didn't have to be fighting for my life. When I realized that I was having a hard time with things, there were things out there that could help me. Ritalin made me realize that I'd been living life on super extreme hard mode while other people were walking around on normal mode or even easy mode. I don't know how to explain it, but they just were. And it made things so much easier for me, that I could finally function at the same level as other people or near to it, because I still struggled with other things, but the main issue that had been taking over my life, the lack of focus, was mostly dealt with. So it allowed me to even like work on other stuff because I wasn't plagued with the inability to just do the things I needed to do. So it's a little frustrating to talk about after a year of being out of school and in intensive therapy, that I finally figured it out. Sometimes I look back on that year and I think, wow, I wasted a whole year. They could have just put me on Ritalin. If she had just said, oh, okay, let's get you tested a year ago, we would have figured it out and I would have been fine. But that's not how things work. Not everything's perfect. Sometimes you go the long way around, and it's annoying, it's stupid, but you do. Felt like I wasted a year of my life. Technically, didn't really, because I learned a lot of things during that year. And even though my support system spent a lot of money to make sure that I would be okay and not die and be fine, it, I would say it was worth it. I think now that that year, even though it felt like I lost so much time, and even though sometimes I still struggle with feeling behind, especially after seeing my cohort graduate and see people move on and continue to do things while I was, seemingly stuck, it did help me realize, though, that like there was still so much I had to learn and I still needed to do the work. So as long as I put in the work, as long as I learned stuff, it was worth the time and energy and money spent, because in the long run, it helped me become a better person, a better student, a better sibling. Again, even though my diagnosis didn't change anything really about me, it also changed everything at the same time. And I'm really grateful I was able to receive that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. If you have ADHD too, say something so I can be like, oh my god, ADHD buddies, and we can chill together. Bye.